Hello and welcome back to SGR Focus Training. For this lesson, we are going to look at OET Reading Part C. We're going to understand some of the different strategies in Part C and starting with any question that ends with the word to. Let's get things started. For this example, we are looking at sample test 1, question number 7 with regard to sleep deprivation. I'd like to start by giving you the question first with the text and the 4 answer options. You've got 2 minutes to answer this question, and then at the end, we will then go and discuss. Your 2 minutes starts now. Okay, that is the end of your 2 minutes. Let's discuss. The very first thing that you need to do, just like what we discussed in part B, is to look at the question and try to understand what kind of question is OET asking me to answer. This one ends with the word to. Any question that ends with the word to can sometimes be what we call looking for the reason why. So what this means is that question 7 is asking you, what is the reason why the writer used Van Counter's words? So this is what we call a purpose question. When you are being asked the reason why, you are being asked a purpose question. In this example, we wanted to find out what is the reason why the writer used Van Counter's word. Is it used to explain, to reinforce, to question, or to describe? What you will notice is that I've highlighted the first words in each answer option. These are verbs. Verbs are words that tells you the action. So what is the writer doing? Is he explaining? Is he reinforcing? Is he questioning, or is he describing? So we needed to find out the reason why he's using these words from Eve. So let's have a look at the text and understand it. Because we've got a very specific person in here, Eve Van Counter, that is the very first thing that we're going to do once we have the text. So let's look for Eve Van Counter. And you found her here. So Eve is a University of Chicago sleep researcher. Now we need to find her words. And her words are signposted by quotations. So we've got the first signpost here, which ends here, the second one here, and in here. That tells you we only need to focus on these words at the moment. So she said, In the studies we've done, almost every variable we measured was affected. There's not a system in the body that's not affected by sleep. So she's telling us they did a study about sleep deprivation. That is the topic that we have in here. And she said that there is a result that at the end they found out that there's not a system in the body, meaning every system, okay, in the body is affected by sleep, okay? So there's not a system in the body that's not affected by sleep means because you got the two knots that kind of takes care of each other. You can remove them, and it basically means every system in the body is affected by sleep. Okay. And then she said further, every time we sleep deprive ourselves, things go wrong. You can just tell by the way that she was talking that she finds problems with regard to sleep deprivation. She said every system in the body is affected by lack of sleep. And then she said, every time we do not get enough sleep, everything goes wrong. So very, very negative. Okay. So we're now going to match that with our answer options. And answer options A said that the writer is using her words in order to explain the main causes of sleep deprivation. Well, hold on a second. Using your medical knowledge, okay, you know that the cause of sleep deprivation could be several things, such as lifestyle. It could be that person is stressed, has too much screen time, okay, drink with caffeine, or is probably doing shift work. So somebody who works at night finds it very hard to sleep in the morning. Or it could be poor sleeping habits, or it could be related to any medications or medical conditions. But none of these well-known causes of sleep deprivation was actually mentioned by Eve Van Coulter. That tells you then that letter A is not the right answer we're looking for. We're going to now look at letter B. Is the writer using Eve Van Coulter's words to reinforce a view about the impact of sleep deprivation? Reinforce means to strengthen something or to support something. What means is that, just like when we're constructing a house, in order for our house to be very strong, we need proper support, okay? We need things that could make our house stronger, strengthen, okay? And that's typically your steels and your bricks and anything that, could stabilize your house and make it last for a few years. So the word reinforce is to strengthen or to support. We also use them in sentences. There are words that we can use ourselves to strengthen or to support or to reinforce something we already said before. But the reinforcement can also come from someone else's opinion. So let's have a look. Speaker one's opinion is that sleep is good for you, okay? And then we heard speaker number two agrees. This is what we call reinforcement, okay? Speaker two said, yes, that is right. The mere fact that speaker number two is agreeing means she is supporting the first opinion. She's also going to make it stronger, that opinion that sleep is good for you. She's going to strengthen it by giving us examples. And she said sleep is crucial for physical and mental restoration. It boosts your immune system, it improves your mood, and it enhances functions such as memory and focus. So by giving us examples or further explanation, speaker number two is reinforcing the opinion of speaker number one. So we're going to use that very same strategy in order to see whether letter B is the right answer. Is the writer reinforcing a view by using Evan Cowter's words. So that means there is another opinion in here, and that one is on the first two sentences. That two sentences stated that millions of people, meaning lots and lots and lots, okay, who suffer sleep problems also suffer myriad health burdens. Now, many of you probably will stop and look at the word myriad, and then basically it stops you in your tracks and you get problematic because you're like, I don't know that word and I don't know how to answer this question. If you ever come across a word you don't understand, the very quick strategy, remove it. Okay? Once you remove it, read it again. And it said millions of people who suffer sleep problems also suffer health burdens. Now, it's easier to understand. That means that if we have sleep problems, just like what is mentioned in here, then we also have health burdens. Health burdens means health problems. So if you're not sleeping very well, you're not going to be healthy. Basically, that's what that is telling us, which is exactly what Eve also mentioned. Look, she said, every time we do not sleep deprived, things go wrong. And what are those things that goes wrong? Well, we get emotional distress, we get cognitive impairments, we have high blood pressure problems, obesity, and metabolism issues, okay? So every time we sleep deprive ourselves, things go wrong. So that means that letter B looks like the right answer that we are looking for. But in order to be sure, we're also going to look at letter C. And in letter C, we can say that, the writer is questioning some research findings. Well, research findings is actually here. He said that the findings said that there's not a system in the body. That means everything about the body is affected by not sleeping very well. Okay, so there's not a system in the body that's not affected by sleep. So it means sleep affects every part of our body. Okay, so that's precisely what she said as well, that if we do not get sleep, things go wrong. And how does things go wrong? Because it gets affected. So that means, sorry, I'm going to go back to letter C. That means she's not questioning the research findings. She's actually agreeing with it. And that tells you that C is the wrong answer. Let's now move on to the last answer option and find out why it is wrong. Well, she said, that answer option D is used in order to describe the challenges involved in the sleep deprivation research. Well, we did see the research. It was mentioned, the studies, the no system in the body is affected by sleep, etc. But there's no discussion on challenges. When you say challenges, problems, okay? There's nothing there about problems about the research. Yes, there are problems about sleep deprivation, not getting enough sleep, but there were no problems discussed with regard to doing the research. You just said, we did the study, here is the result. So that means letter D is not the right answer. So that confirms then, and you will be confident you can choose letter B as the right answer for question number 7. It does reinforce a view about the impact of sleep deprivation. A lot of the questions in part C would tend to have questions that ends with the word to, okay? Just like sample test 1, text 2, as well as sample test 2, text 1, okay? But not these two are different because the only one that's similar to the one that we've done today, which is looking for the reason why, is only question number 13. This is the only purpose question. Why? Because it doesn't just end with the word to, it has the phrase in order to. When you're being asked why something was used in order to, it means that is a reason why or a purpose question. Question number 16 on text 2 of sample test 1 is actually what we call a detailed question because it starts with a question what, ends with the word to, and has the word object. When you say something he object to, that is very, very specific. And when you've got a question that is looking for something very specific, that is a detailed question. When you say something he objects to, it means something he disapproves of, something he doesn't like, something he disagrees with. So this is not looking for the reason why, but this is looking for something very, very specific, something he doesn't like. So we're now going to look at question number 16 on sample test 1, text 2, all about ADHD. As I've mentioned, this is a detailed question, okay? Because we're looking for something he objects to, something he disagrees with or disapproves of. But very similar to the strategy we discussed, we again look at the first words given. Is he disapproving of the suggestion, the implication, the grouping, or the treatment? So we're not looking at verbs anymore. We are looking at nouns, okay? Because we're looking for something very specific. They tend to be nouns. So is it the suggestion that he doesn't like? Is it the implication he doesn't like? Is it the grouping he doesn't like? Or is it the treatment? So let's now look at the text. Remember, we're looking for something he objects to, disagrees with, disapproves of, or something he doesn't like. But again, just like the strategy we discussed, we've got someone very specific here, which is Dr. Soul, okay? Which means we're going to look for him first, and we found him in here. He is Dr. Richard Soul, a behavioral neurologist with 5 decades of experience. Now that we found him, we're looking for something that he objects to, and that is signposted by the word disagrees, okay? If he objects, he disagrees, he doesn't like, he disapproves, okay? So that means something that he disagrees with will be signposted again by quotations. So we're going to focus on the sentences made from here up to here, okay? So we're going to read that part. And he said, many of us have difficulties with organization or details, a tendency to lose things, to be forgetful. And he said, if that is true, then everyone should qualify because he said basically everybody tends to forget, everybody gets to lose things or is distracted. And he said, although some patients might need stimulants to function well in daily life, the lumping together of many vague and subjective symptoms could be causing a national phenomenon of misdiagnosis and overprescription of stimulants. So, what are these words being used for? Is it basically to make a suggestion, to give implications, or is it something that he doesn't like, which is the grouping of the symptoms or the treatment of ADHD? So let's look at answer option A. He said he doesn't like the suggestion that people need stimulants to cope with everyday life. Well, we did see stimulants in this area. And what you will notice is that it starts with a connector, and that connector is although. Although means that there will be more than one opinion, and it is connected by the word although. So our first opinion is this one, that some patients might need stimulants to function well in life. If you want to understand it, just like what we've done earlier, let's remove the word although first, okay? Because it is a connector. Let's remove that first and just read the opinion. So the opinion states, some patients might need stimulants to function well in daily life. Well, what's the opinion of Dr. Soul in here about stimulants? It said he agrees. He knows that some patients might need them. So, if he agrees that stimulants is needed or could be needed to function well in daily life, then that is not the same as what we are looking for. Because remember, we are looking for something that he objects to. So if they are different, that means that letter A is wrong. Okay, because he agrees with this, we're not looking for that. We're looking for something he disagrees. And the disagreement will be on the second opinion. As I've mentioned earlier, when you've got a connector, although there will be more than one opinion. So this is your first opinion. He agrees with it. Because of the connector, although, the second opinion will now be the opposite opinion. So if he agrees, the second one is now a disagreement. If the first one is a disagreement, that means the second one will be an agreement. Always remember, an although connects two different opinions. So let's look at the second opinion. He said the lumping together of many vague and subjective symptoms could be causing a national phenomenon of misdiagnosis and overprescription. Well, the words the lumping together means if you're lumping them together, you are grouping them together. Okay, so lumping together, grouping. Okay, it means you're putting everything together. That's why we call it a lump. Okay, it means one thing that is a combination of other things. Okay, so grouping or lumping together, there's your synonym. And then we've got the word symptoms. We found the word symptoms in here. And the word imprecise, signposted by the word vague. If something is vague, it means it's not simple. It's not very clear. So if it's not simple or very clear, that means it could be imprecise, okay, not true, not correct, etc. Not clear. So there are your synonyms. So that tells you that letter C is the right answer for this. So just like the strategy that we did for the other question that ends with the word to, but is a purpose question, the way that we answer the word to in a detailed question is very similar. Always remember that when there is a specific person being asked about, okay, make sure you find them first and then find their opinion. If you like tutorials like we discussed today, which is the reading strategy with regard to answering the question two, please come and join our online study groups and we can help you understand OET reading better. We will deal with more reading strategies next time, not just this one. We still have lots to tell you, okay? So see you next time. Bye for now.